Welcome to the golf edition of Hooked on Sport. This is South Australia's summer golf wrap, where we uncover the stories, personalities and moments that define golf across South Australia and beyond. It's time to talk golf with sports commentator Ben Hook and state golf representative Sophie Hilditch.
Good on you, Wallace. Thanks very much, Sophie. Good evening. How are you, mate, by the way?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for asking, Hookie. I feel like you don't often ask me how I'm feeling, but I feel like the next question is going to be the reason as to why you're asking me how am I feeling.
Well, I know you'll be happy, and I'm a little bit sad because this is the podcast version of cheating on someone, having an affair behind someone's back, because without inviting me, without even letting me know, I find out the hard way that you played Cathedral Lodge over the course of the weekend. For those who don't know, Cathedral Lodge, the most exclusive private golf course in Victoria, set up by David Evans, only a couple of hundred members, almost impossible to get on. But you got on. Tell us about the experience.
I sure did get on, and wow, was the experience just incredible. I got on with my partner, Darcy, originally. Like the big sign up for the cathedral quite literally just says private property. And I was yelling at Darcy being like, are we even going in the right direction? Because he's notoriously bad for giving me directions when I'm driving. He'll probably hate me for saying that. And you drive up this dirt road and it's just unbelievable. Straight away it opens you up to the golf course. You drive past about 3 of the holes. The experience was unbelievable. The golf was even better. But man, was the veranda at the end of the round just incredible. You sit on this veranda, we're having a few drinks, we're having lunch with some lovely friends, and I'm just looking out on about 6 holes of this gorgeous golf course, and I loved absolutely every single moment. The experience was amazing. The golf was even better. I actually played pretty well. I almost had a hole-in-one, which I hate saying, but when I say almost, I mean 6 inches short of the hole on the 17th hole, par 3. So I'm already on cloud 9 walking into this clubhouse. And Ben, I'm sorry you weren't there. Well, I'm not sorry at all.
Yeah. I feel your deep level of regret and apology, Soph. So a couple of things. I hope you choked on those wines after lunch. And normally I would be so disappointed for you if you've just missed a hole-in-one by that much. But all I'll say is that they're a binary state. Either it went in or it did not. You may as well have missed the green if you missed the hole. But no, look, incredible experience. I'm so glad for you. And I've probably had the discussion with you. The day I set foot on the old course at St Andrews was something just incredible for me. So glad you enjoyed it. Glad you had fun. And yeah, that will be a memory of a lifetime, I am sure. Have you got a Sophie star for me? I know you've had plenty on your plate the last few days, so you're a little bit underprepared, but give me Sophie star.
Hookie, this week was an absolute no-brainer. I thought I played well at the cathedral, but I can tell you what. Jazzy Roberts at the Australian Amateur, which is played over in WA, she won by 6 shots with 27 under, but it had a course record final round, 10 under, 63. The final round was played at the Western Australian Golf Club, and I can tell you now, I've actually played with Jazzy Roberts at the Western Australian Golf Club. I saw how she golfed her ball then. It was unbelievable. She's continued to golf her ball absolutely unbelievable at the Western Australian Golf Club. She is the most deserving Sophie star of this week. So Jazzy Roberts, the Victorian golfer, welcome to Sophie star. It's your first Sophie star, but I think it's one of many. And I think she's actually over where you are at the moment, Hookie, in New Zealand, playing the Women's Amateur Asia Pacific.
Yeah, you're spot on, Soph. So I'm currently in Wellington, the Women's Amateur Asia Pacific, co-hosted by the Asia Pacific Confederation. A little bit of support from the Masters and a little bit of support from the RNA as well. So they're all here in force at the moment, Soph, and it'll be played down the road at Royal Wellington. Gets underway on Thursday. It's late on Tuesday night here. So, yeah, Jazzy Roberts in great form. No Australians ever won this event. It's been pretty heavily dominated by Japanese and Korean players. Janeth Wong won it last year in Vietnam, Soph, and has spent most of her time living in Australia, but still regarded as Malaysian. So, yeah, the Australians, there's 6 in the field here. Our own Reagan Denton will be one of them. She's the ranked number 37 in the world at the moment, amateur, so the highest ranked Australian. But Roberts, Skaysbrook, Denton, any of those three really big chances. And there's 3 others Australians in the field as well that we're looking forward to seeing. So lovely little Sophie star, Jazzy Roberts. Congratulations to her. Soph, my Ben's best. I think you're going to love this. It's William Breeres, a Queensland PGA Tour player who played the Webex Sydney event on the weekend, and he missed the cut. Pretty good story so far for Ben's best.
Yeah, great story. Loving it so far.
Right. He went out and shot 80 in the first round, 5 bogeys and a triple bogey for an 80. This is a low-scoring event too. He came back with a 63 to miss the cut by 1. How about the old 80 out, 63 home, a bogey, 8 birdies, and an eagle coming home. So missed the cut by 1, but what an amazing turnaround. 80 one day, 63 the next. That is golf, is it not?
Oh,
and
yeah.
William Breyer is the Queenslander. I just wanted to put him down as Ben's best for this week.
Absolutely love it. What a great, that is actually the definition of golf. You think about it and you're like, what did I have for breakfast on the second day? Because I need to replicate that every single day. And you think, I didn't change anything.
Our great mate, Peter Ormandy, played a couple of times last week. He had 23 points on Monday and 40 points on Wednesday. So the game does not escape any of us one way or another. So I thought William Breeres' story was an absolute beauty. So the big news of the week, of course, was Elvis Smylie playing on debut on the Live Tour, went across to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and absolutely blew them away with a final round 8 under par 64. Held off John Rahm to take out a tournament on his league debut. He collects about $4 million US. It's best part of $5.5 million Australian. It got him up into, I think, ranked 84 in the world. So suddenly he starts to be in and amongst the discussion for majors. Certainly gets him into the PGA. Going to be inside the top 60 for the Open and the US Open, top 50 for the Masters. So he's still a little way away there, but he wins Live Adelaide, and all of a sudden he's right in that conversation. So incredible story. Soph, what did you make of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was incredible, wasn't it? Beating the likes of John Rahm. He took him out of the park. First win on Live Tour remotely. He really stamped his name immediately. I mean, I've always loved watching Elvis. I was surprised at his decision to join Live, but I mean, it's looking up and up from here. He got a DP World Tour card from memory and then still decided to go with Live. And look, I actually think the Live Australians, I think, unbelievable. I think the nurturing he would receive from the likes of Cam Smith and Mark Leishman, I can understand his decision going there. I think it would have felt really lovely, really friendly. He already has mentors there. He knows them. They're Queenslanders. Look, his golf is unbelievable. I can't wait to see what he does next. And I'm actually really looking forward to seeing him play in Live Adelaide. He's so straight off the tee. It's ridiculous. And he's long as well.
And just, I don't know, maybe because I'm a left-hander, but there's something about watching left-handers. They don't look the same, do they? We all look a little bit awkward, a little bit unusual. It sort of stands out. And it's actually funny. I've seen Phil Mickelson's swing transposed so it's right-handed, and it looks normal. But then when he swings left-handed, he just looks so quirkily left-handed. And Elvis, I find a little bit the same. So if it's life-changing money, and this is a real pivot point for Liv, I think, as well. And you and I have been discussing Liv, and we said last week, this has been a bad period for Liv, and I don't resolve from that. But gee, the last week, as soon as they've played a tournament, this has been unbelievably good for Liv. And it's a bit of a pivot point for them. I think they can ask themselves the question, do they need to continue to throw big money at aging veterans that haven't really brought them a crowd in the past? Do they need to invest $700 million for Bryson, who, yes, he's enormously popular and he has a big YouTube fan base, but that fan base hasn't really come across to Live? Can they invest sensible amounts in the next generation and develop an authentic competition? I mean, that's the problem that I think Live has had in its first 4 years. It's its authenticity. You think about their draft, their trade period, their retention, their relegation. All of them have been utter shams, really, haven't they? Laughably bad, cringeworthy stuff. But if they take a genuine approach with this new generation, I think it has merit long-term with guys who are playing for points. They're playing for life-changing money that they haven't got up front like all of the big names did 4 years ago. And they're going to be able to generate by getting regular top 10 finishes in Live events. They're going to get major excess that they'd otherwise struggled for. So I really think that Elvis is going to be a bit of a touchstone for a lot of other young up-and-coming golfers who don't have access to the PGA Tour yet. If you're not on the PGA Tour, all of a sudden, Live with some rankings points and the huge amounts of cash that you can generate, I think is a really genuine, viable career alternative. And Elvis Smylie has created it in just one snap of the fingers. Soph, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's completely incredible. You're right. The money is life-changing. And I think it's interesting the point you make, and you made it a while ago. I don't often say that to you, Hookie, so you're welcome. Interesting point made by you. And I'll have to ponder it a little bit. But you did say there was some emerging golfers on the Live Tour in that, 20s bracket, early 20s bracket, and Elvis Smylie is one of them, that they haven't played for those big trophies yet. And they haven't played for this kind of money, which is not quite on the PGA Tour, this level of money, but it is there. And it is different for them because they don't know what it's like to play for the Open or what it's like to play in any of those majors. Elvis has no idea. So this money is probably the biggest thing he's ever played for. And the most exciting thing and the most pressure he will be under this early on in his career. And I think it does make a difference. It makes it way more entertaining watching. Like I was on a Melbourne trip, so I will admit my investigation to a lot of this is probably not as best as I would want it to be because I was playing golf myself. But I did watch a lot of the Live golf, which I don't normally tend to swing to if I'm watching PGA versus Live, whilst I still love the Live aspect. But watching Elvis meant something to me. And that is probably the first time I've really been able to say that about Live golf. I was wanting Elvis to win because it was going to be life-changing for him. He was playing for something that he's never played for before. And you made it the point 2 weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks ago, and I think it is really interesting. That bracket of people is exciting to watch play golf. They're playing for something. Whilst I watch the John Rahm and I think this doesn't actually really mean anything to you. You already have that big cash checkout, which is the reason that you came into Live in the first place. I don't think you could care whether or not you came first or 40th. I think you care no more. You care about the trophy. You care about whether or not you're lifting up the claret jug. You don't care whether or not you're making $4 million. But for Elvis, he cares. He cares about those ranking points. They're really meaning something to him. And you could see that he was grinding out every single shot.
And I just reckon there is a real opportunity for Liv's top-end players to collect all sorts of OWGR points. 57-player field on Liv, but I'd argue that 25 to 30 are genuinely competitive, are going to be regularly around the top 10. So the best 15 of those 25 or 30 can absolutely gorge on points. I think the OWGR made perfectly legitimate arguments for limiting it to 10. Now, this may evolve, and that may evolve both ways, because I still think Liv's team's aspect of it is not really cutting through in the traditional golf market, and that'll be interesting to see whether that survives long term. But I think we'll see 6 to 8 Liv players not previously exempt getting into the majors going forward, certainly the PGA this year, and then perhaps the US Open and Open in 2027. If you had a look at the top 10 and how so many of them jumped up 150 rankings points for finishing 5th or 6th on Liv, if you can string a few of those together, in particular when there's not a lot of competition, I think we're going to see a real shift for Liv's top end, being able to really cut through and collect some points and get into tournaments that they wouldn't have previously got into. So if we turn our attention to a little bit closer to town, the Webex Sydney was won by a 22-year-old youngster, Declan O'Donovan, I beg your pardon. He is in his rookie year on tour. He's had a great little run. He was third at Webex River Murray, and he won the Webex Sydney by 5 strokes. So dominant performance by him, sort of out of the blue too. It's only his 7th pro event, Soph. He's gone miscut, 47th at the Vic Open, then 3rd and now 1st. So pretty incredible performance. I suspect you didn't see a whole lot of it. You were across Declan, or did you see any of this event?
I did see a bit of this event. I played at Peninsula Kingswood over the weekend. I love just dropping in a couple little bombs as I'm talking about this. And
I need to go back and recut the opening because I'm even more upset now.
And Ben, I was sitting in the billiards room, as you do. And I was just watching the TV. So I did see a bit of the Webex Sydney and I enjoyed it. But do you know what I'm finding interesting about the Webex? A lot of first-time winners throughout this series, which I've loved seeing. A lot of youngsters, a lot of people starting off their careers, getting those first-time wins, as well as the other side of things. A lot of people who've been struggling for a little bit getting wins. So this 22-year-old, look, I loved watching him. I will admit I didn't see as much of the golf as I would have liked to have seen. But I loved how Peninsula Kingswood had it playing, and a lot of their members were interested in watching these Australian players and seeing what they were up to, which I think is great. And it's probably an argument as to why I like the Webex series so much. I know we've spoken about a lot about whether or not, the women aren't contending and all of this stuff around that as to what do we do if the women aren't contending in the Webex. And what I will say is a lot of the members and a lot of the guests in Peninsula Kingswood were watching this and loving watching Declan get his first win.
Yeah, so he's won the New South Wales Am in 2024, won the Avondale Cup back-to-back, Soph, 2024 and 2025, represented Australia at the New Nomura Cup in 2023. He was second overall in that event. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what Declan O'Donovan can do in the next stage of his career. And as a professional tournament winner, he is off to an absolute flying start in his rookie year. Look of note, Steph Kyriakou, someone that we've talked about a bit, Soph, was outright third and 7 back. So an excellent performance for her as she heads towards the Women's Australian Open in 3 weeks from now. Dimi Papadatos, great return to form for him. Dimi's a name that I've sort of has just completely dropped off my radar. He was a star of about a decade ago, Soph. He won the New Zealand Open in 2014. He was runner-up at the Australian Open in 2018, on the Corn Ferry Tour in 2023. He was ranking last year was down to 1900. He's back up to 154. So love to see a bit more of Dimi Papadatos. He's 34, Soph. So I think he's got a lot to offer. Caitlin Pearce was 6th, South Australia's Caitlin Pearce. That included an ace in the opening round. She finished her final round bogey, so that would have soured her dinner a little bit. But
Hookie,
another great performance from Caitlin.
Hookie, did you see the ace?
Yeah. Has anyone just taken that more in their stride than Caitlin Pearce has made an ace? I mean, I would have been pants around my ankles running the full length towards the green. She
Hookie,
just barely acknowledged the crowd.
I actually saw you get your ace. I've never seen someone run faster to the hole to see whether or not it gone in, because I might have not have said it'd be a shame. Yes. Boy, it would be a shame if it rolled over the back, wouldn't it? I've never seen you run faster. I've never seen someone celebrate so hard. She just looked like, oh, yeah, there it is in the hole. Yeah, we'll just put the club back into the bag and we'll just walk casually up, and I'll make sure I fix up my pitch repair and I'll just wave to the crowd casually and pick the ball up from the hole. I loved it.
I thought she was going to reach into her back pocket and pull out a slice of cake. So it was that casual, the reaction to it all. Other South Australians, Lockie Barker in a tie for 15th. I'm on Lockie. He's going to do it for us one day. So another solid performance from him. Jack Carter was in a tie for 39th. Peter Cook, Crystal Blum, and Jack Buchanan, who came back and played a Webex event. They did make the weekend. So that wraps us up for the Webex event in Sydney. Congratulations to Declan O'Donovan. Congratulations once again to Caitlin Pearce. Let's turn our attention to the Waste Management, the Phoenix Open. So one of the biggest attended events in world golf. Chris Gotterup gets up over Hideki Matsuyama in a playoff. Hideki's won this tournament a couple of times before. I think it's gone to a playoff 6 in the last 7 years, and it always runs up against the Super Bowl, Soph. So everyone was wondering if they'd finally get it done before the Super Bowl was due to start. Thankfully, it only took one hole. Unfortunately, it was marred by a bit of fan behaviour. Did you catch up with the playoff?
Yeah, I did watch the playoff again, lying from my comfy bed from Peninsula Kingswood. We put the playoff on in the background. It was, it's one of those, those gut-wrenching moments. You're watching Hideki and you're like, oh my God, he can't even put driver on this planet. Like, it's just going absolutely everywhere. I wasn't surprised when I didn't see him lifting up the trophy, because I was actually more surprised that he was managing to hold it together a little bit. He played an amazing shot. I can't even remember what hole it was, but he went right off the tee and was playing this 3-wood off back foot, low cut thing onto the green. And I thought, the man has just got a jail-free card and is playing it on absolutely every single hole. So I wasn't surprised when he didn't win. I was pretty impressed with him keeping it together in the first place. But look, I love watching this event every single time. I think it's great. It's great fun to see. The crowds getting a bit wild is a bit of fun. I think the Waste Management's a great tournament. I think it's a bit different from the standard PGA, and I think it's a good start to the season.
So if I made mention this tournament was marred by fan behaviour, I mean, that's one of the things that they have lent into a little bit, the fact that the crowds are raucous at the Phoenix Open. And we're not immune here, right? I mean, the crowd was actually pretty uncouth. If you remember 2 years ago at the Grange for Liv, it was Ripper versus Stinger, the team final, and there was maybe 15,000 people around the final hole. And the crowd was pretty raucous, but there was some really unfortunate things going on, I thought, at the Waste Management. I don't know if you caught up with the name Jack Doherty, but he is essentially a serial pest. He is someone who is a young kid, 22 years old, and he's made a career out of rage baiting, harassing people and catching their reactions on camera, just attempting to upset people and then sort of make fun of them. So what he was doing, he was walking around the tournament periphery and asking people if they'd disrupt a player's shot during their swing for $100. So he got someone to do it. The crowd all railed against it. The bloke who yelled out and got his $100, he was kicked out. But then everyone was sort of explaining, well, it's this guy who's sort of setting everyone up, this Jack Doherty. And I don't know if you saw the way it all played out, but it's just unfortunate that this guy has sort of made this living out of just belittling and abusing people and thinking it's funny. And he's got a following as a result of it. I always think about, isn't that quite amazing that the US uniquely has these people who will put down, who will belittle, and that's an admired quality. It's not universal, of course, but it's almost like Jack Doherty is a bit of a pint-sized Donald Trump, you know, abuse and belittle others, never ever be ashamed of it, and a remarkably large proportion laugh along at the expense of the target. This is bullying mistaken for masculinity. I mean, I find that really disappointing that we had to put up with that. Yes, we have Peter Hoare here in Australia, or we did, and England has Jarvo, that bloke who keeps running onto cricket fields. But I just find it really sad that in the US in particular, the Jack Dohertys of this world just seem to not only be able to make a career for themselves, but thrive as well. Anyway, one other point I want to make about it. I went to a smaller field this year. It was 132 and went back to 120. That was beefed up to 122 to allow Brooks Koepka to play. They still, with 122 in the field, couldn't get the first 2 rounds finished due to darkness. Wasn't bad weather, had nothing to do with anything other than these guys playing possibly slow. And the other challenge is that they have, 4 drivable par 4s that wouldn't have been drivable until we allowed drivers and balls to go absolutely bloody miles. So if the Pro Driver wasn't a rocket launcher, if the ball wasn't a guided missile, there wouldn't be 4 drivable par 4s at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and play would be immensely more manageable. But no one seems interested in doing anything about it, Soph.
Standard fight for you, Hookie.
It is. I will move on. Patrick Reed wins in Bahrain. He defeats Callum Hill by 2. Reed's gone first, third, first in the last 3 weeks. He picked up 2,259 points for his efforts so far on the DP World Tour. 2,600 was 10th and a PGA Tour card last year. So he'd almost have to break a leg not to get a PGA Tour card now. So everything we were talking about with Elvis Smylie before, I think this is another absolute win for Liv. Come to Liv, get a big check, and if you want to go back, you don't have to play that well for that long to get back in. You'll get your spots on the DP World Tour, and who knows, you could be playing in the PGA Tour within a year. So remarkable story, that, Soph.
Look, I see what you're saying, and I agree with you. Patrick Reed is obviously on his way to a PGA Tour card, which is unbelievable. But I also don't think everyone can do what Patrick Reed did. Like, that's an unbelievable start. It's like there was still so many incredible players in those fields that he played that are fighting out for that PGA Tour card. I totally get what you're saying. He picked up his check from Liv. He moved on as soon as he could. As soon as he could get out of his contract, he was like, see you later, boys. I want to head back to the PGA. I want to fight for the trophies, which I think a lot of them are thinking about doing once their contracts run out. But I disagree with you saying that it's like, yeah, pick up your check and just walk on onto the PGA Tour. I think you're not giving enough credit to Patrick Reed. A first, a third. And I mean, are we calling it a third? He lost in the playoff. It's not even really a third. It's a T1 with an
Yeah.
unfortunate finish. And then a first. Just not many people are doing that. And I also think it's interesting. Like, I think Patrick Reed was one of those players when you were watching, particularly at Live Adelaide. I often sit myself on the range at the end of the round and watch the players come out and hit balls and work on their
Reset their swing.
games. Reset,
Yep.
yeah. Patrick Reed was always out there. He was always resetting. He was always grinding. He was always working. I think he used the 3-day tournaments, the enormous breaks in between tournaments, which ended up being that enormous. But anyways, I think he actually used on it to work on his game. His game was heading south towards the end of his first stint at the PGA Tour. I'm going to call it that now, his first stint, because I think there's going to be a second stint. And I think it was heading a bit south. And I actually think he's almost used the money and the relaxation of Live to reset and start again. And I don't think he maybe even himself predicted him being in this position.
No, fair enough, Sophie. Your points were all made about that second tournament. Yeah, he did lose it in a playoff, and yeah, not everyone can do what he's done. He's up to number 17 in the world, so he has really put the shoulder to the grindstone, and he's deserving everything he's getting right now. And everything he said he wanted to do, he is pretty much done within a month. It's been pretty remarkable. Australian Amateur Soph, that, as you touched on, was won by Jazzy Roberts in the women. She shot 63 in the final round, a course record to be a 6-shot winner. Billy Dowling, the Queenslander, won by 5. He's set to turn pro. Best of the South Australians, Jackson Leonard from Glenelg, was tied for 7th. We've got a conversation with Michael Munn, who talks about Jackson Leonard and what he is expecting from him in the pennant season. We'll be dropping that later this week. Malachi Marshall, the teenage phenom from Cooey, led halfway through the second round. He was 11 under, but he faded to finish in a tie for 29th. And I think the other worthy mention is Millie Winnie, another guest that we'll be having on our show a little bit later as we start to turn our attention towards the South Australian pennant season, star of the Grange. She finished T6 with a 68-69 weekend, Soph. So couple of South Australian names once again flying the flag in very, very good company over there in Western Australia for the Auszam.
Yeah, it was a great showing. I'm surprised I forgot to mention Reagan Denton as well. Another great showing from her, to be honest. I think she ended up, T11? But she had a 10 in her first round and actually shot 80, which I think was probably the worst round she's shot in a very, very long time. Bounced back to have a T11, which I think is worth a shout out. I know we speak about Reagan Denton a lot in the past few weeks, but I don't think we can stop talking about her just because she shoots 80 in the first round and then still has a top 15 finish. I'm very impressed with Millie Winnie, a 10 under over the 72 holes. I love seeing that Millie is actually heading in great strengths at the moment. I'm not so excited about that because I think I might be versing her soon in pennant, which I don't like how her game's trending for me, but I'm incredibly proud of Millie and I'm looking forward to having a chat to her upcoming to the South Australian pennant season, and as well as the boys. Unbelievable. Malachi was really up and running. I think he struggled in his final 2 rounds, but he was around the mark after those first 2 rounds, which was great to see. I remember seeing Malachi on the 12th hole at Royal Adelaide, which is about a 200-meter par 3 in one of his first ever pennant games, and he was hitting driver. So it's unbelievable to see where he's come from there to now.
Yeah. No, I did overlook Reagan. I mean, we've talked about her so much, and I know that I'm about to talk about her again. So, yes, apologies to Reagan for missing what was a pretty sterling comeback. I think she ran out of steam late in the last round. I reckon she was 4 over or something the last 5 holes. But to get herself back so far in contention after what would have been a pretty demoralising opening round for her, she would have had one eye on that trophy. So that was another outstanding performance. Before I get to the Asia Pacific Amateur, I just thought it was worth mentioning the Tasmanian Senior Amateur was won by Nadine Goal. I don't know if you know Nadine, Soph, but she is an absolute menace on the senior amateur women's circuit. She didn't, I mean that the nicest possible way as well. She didn't play for 20 years, raised a family, then went out and just returned to amateur golf, won the US Senior Amateur in 2024, made the Australian amateur team for this Asia Pacific event this time last year. So congratulations to her. Yeah, in her early 60s, I think she was, and taking on all of the AMs. Tony Nobbs from the Vines finished T5 in the men. Amanda Heapy, also from the Vines, finished in 12th place for the women. Asia Pacific Amateur gets underway at Royal Wellington on Thursday afternoon. 6 Australians in the field, so this is an outright women's event. 82 all up. The Australians are Ella Skaysbrook, the 59 ranked player in the world. Jazzy Roberts, the 58 ranked player in the world. Shyla Singh ranked 149. Rachel Lee ranked 110. Grace Rowe ranked 192. And Reagan Denton ranked 38. 82 in the field. It's only been going since 2019, this event. No Australian has ever won it. I reckon they might just have a really good shot on a course that I think will suit a fair few of them starting Thursday, Soph.
I think they have a huge shot. That is such a good grouping to have down in New Zealand. I'm excited for you. I can't believe you're there right now. I wish I was there with you. So I might have been playing the Cathedral and some amazing golf courses in Victoria, but I think you're about to go out and watch some incredible golf. Those girls can really golf their ball. They're a good team as well. That team have traveled a little bit together, and I think they will be getting around whoever is playing their best golf, and in whatever moment, I think those girls will be supporting each other, which I also love to see. I love seeing these kind of teamed things. They might be fighting for an individual trophy, but it's more than that to those girls wearing the green and gold.
Sumino, the top-ranked player, she's ranked 11 in the world. I think she was the one who won it last year, so I suspect she comes here with a fair bit of confidence. There's other real stars as well. Yurina Hirayoshi from Japan, ranked number 16. So they'll be up against it, the Australians. And I think there's 11 New Zealanders in the field as well, and there's plenty of talent from our friends across the ditch as well. And Rian Michaela Maliksi from the Philippines is ranked 21 in the world. So, look, there's plenty of talent through this field, but Reagan's going to be right up to her neck in this one. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. Sophie, you'll be pleased to know that my VIP guest pass did arrive today, so I'm looking forward to wielding that right throughout the week.
I'm surprised no one wanted you to caddy, Hookie, with your exceptional golfing skills.
Yeah, and I have played Royal Wellington once before, so...
And still didn't get the call up.
So a bit of news around. The discussion has ignited once again about the Players' Championship becoming the 5th major. Your thoughts?
Look, I don't quite agree with it. I'm going to steal this, and I feel sorry for stealing it from the No Laying Up boys, but I reckon the 5th major should be something that's travelling. I like the idea of being the 5th major being the Australian Open or something a little bit different outside the homes of America. I think golf is deserving. If that's something that's played in the Asia Pacific or somewhere else, let's expand golf. Let's get worldwide. You know what? They have enough majors over in the US. I don't agree with the Players being the 5th major. I think it's a great tournament. I think it's a great event, but it's not the 5th major for me.
I reckon in life, if you have to declare yourself an alpha male, it means you're absolutely a beta male. A declaration you're a major golf tournament means you're absolutely not a major. And I think the PGA Tour is just desperate for major relevance here. They know they're not legit now, especially with the Live Players ban. So they're playing a bit of a long game. But the public massaging only elevates the concept that the 4 majors outstrip anything that they actually have. I think, obviously, they know they've got new investors. The new investors are going, how is it that we've got the biggest tour in the world and we own 0 of the biggest 5 events? And I can understand the frustration of that. But when it's up to you to make, when you're trying to make the decision on what a major is about your own tournament, I think you're just going to alienate everyone else. We've seen a couple of really interesting comments come out, none more so than Brandel Chambly, who is absolutely a shill for the PGA Tour. He said that the Players is bigger than all 4 majors. So, I mean, you know, it's a remarkable thing to say. I mean, he is a PGA Tour mouthpiece. He's not a serious person. His opinion swings so wildly on almost every issue. The ball rollback, he was for it, then he was against it. Clearly, one of the OEMs got in his pocket. Bifurcation, he was for it, then he was against it. Again, you can imagine that the OEMs were shelling something out there. Course setup, women's course setup, he's flip-flop routinely. His only consistent issue is a hatred of Live. So no surprise the one big event they cannot play as conveniently his most important event. We'll talk about that more, I imagine, as we head towards the players. So, hey, there's a little bit of news going on around the place, just in local golf that I might share with you. Want to wish all the best to the Riverland Golf Association that has their Golf Development Day in February. It's on the 28th. This is being run by a good mate of mine, Jamie Clutterham, who was running his professional golf operations out of North Adelaide, just took it to the country. So he is at Waikerie, at Berry, at Barmera, at Loxton, all of those places. He gets around to them all. He's got a wonderful relationship with a lot of the sponsors around the place there. So the Riverland Golf Association Golf Development Day, February 28th. It's a 9-hole shotgun Ambrose, NTPs, long drives, and they've got Riverland juniors playing shots for teams all the way through. Gourmet barbecue afterwards. So I just wanted to wish him all the best. If you wanted to play in that, 0416 200 541, that's Jamie's number. He'd love to hear from you, or jamie@jcgolf.com.au. And Loxton, one of those clubs, you were talking about Centenaries not so long ago, Soph. Loxton Centenary is on this year. They're playing it over June 5th to 8th. So that's another great event as well if you want to be involved in the Loxton Open. It's their Centenary weekend on June 5th to 8th. There's a few other things floating on, but we might save it for another time next week, Soph. Got a practice hack for us to get us out?
Do you know what? It's not a practice hat, Hookie. It's just coming off a trip to Victoria. Like, I will keep harping on about and rubbing into you as much as I like. I actually finished off at Kingston Heath just to, put the nail to the coffin. And my practice hack is actually, it's pretty simple. You know what? Being on a golf course and meeting new people is one of the most amazing things about this sport. I met some incredible people this weekend. I loved absolutely every single moment. So my practice hack is actually quite simple. It's actually, you know what? Even if you're having a bad round, how about you just have a look at where you are? Embrace the people that you meet in this amazing journey of golf. It's incredible. I love every moment. So it's a bit of a happy note. It's not a practice hack, but I'm just on cloud 9 still, Hookie, and I can't quite come down.
One of my recent rounds, Soph, was at Glanville Pub, par 3 golf links, which is kikuyu everywhere. And I'm going to have to be satisfied with that while you tell me about your time at Cathedral Lodge, PK North, and Kingston Heath. Good luck, me. Soph, always a great chat, mate. See you next week.
See you next week. Thanks so much, Hookie.
With the last putt sunk, that's a wrap on this golf edition of Hooked on Sport. Thanks for listening. Help us meet more golfers just like you by following us and leaving a review. We look forward to your company on the next golf edition of Hooked on Sport.